Mohammed, can I ask you a simple question? What do you think is the easiest topic to talk about in English?
Mm, Maybe food?
That's a good answer, but I think there's an even easier topic, a topic almost everybody can talk about, no matter where they're from, no matter how old they are. Their family. Family is one of the first topics English learners practice because it's familiar, it's personal, and it's useful in real-life conversations. Let's start with some basic family words. Father, mother, brother, sister, parents, children, son, daughter, family. These are some of the most common words you'll hear in everyday English. And once you know them, talking about your family becomes much easier.
And honestly, I think that's why people like this topic, because you don't need advanced English. You already know the people you're talking about, you just need the words to describe them. And that's exactly what we're going to practice today.
Mohammed, let's imagine I meet you for the first time, and I ask you a very common question. Tell me about your family. What would you say?
Honestly, I think many learners panic when they hear that question, even though it's actually very simple.
Exactly. And that's because many students think they need a long answer, a perfect answer, an impressive answer. But in reality, simple English is often the best English. For example, I have a small family. I live with my parents. I have one brother and one sister. That's already a good answer.
And honestly, if somebody said that to me in a conversation, I'd completely understand them.
Exactly. Communication comes first. Perfection comes later. Now, let's make the answer a little longer. I have a small family. There are 4 people in my family: my father, my mother, my sister, and me. Simple, natural, and very useful.
I like that because it feels realistic. It's the kind of English people actually use, not the kind of English that only appears in textbooks.
Exactly. And here's something important. When somebody asks about your family, they usually don't expect a perfect speech. They just want to know a little about you. That's all. So don't focus on sounding advanced. Focus on being clear.
And honestly, I think that's a lesson many English learners need to hear. You don't need difficult words to have a good conversation. Sometimes a few simple sentences are more than enough.
Now let's make our answers more interesting, because after somebody asks about your family, they usually ask about the people in your family. For example, what does your father do? What is your mother like? Questions like these.
That's true. I hear those questions all the time. And honestly, they're much easier than people think.
Exactly. Let's start with jobs. You can say, my father is a teacher. My mother is a doctor. My father works in a bank. My mother works at a school. Very simple, very useful, and very common.
I like that because once you learn a few job names, you can talk about almost anyone.
Exactly. But conversations don't stop there. People also ask about personality. For example, what is your father like? What is your mother like? Now we're talking about character, not jobs.
Ah, that's where many learners get confused because they don't know what adjectives to use.
Exactly. So let's learn a few useful ones. Kind, friendly, funny, patient, hardworking, helpful, generous. These words are extremely common and they sound natural in conversations.
So I could say, my father is hardworking, my mother is kind, my sister is friendly. Perfect.
Those are excellent answers. And here's a secret. Most native speakers use simple descriptions too. They don't spend 5 minutes describing their family members. They usually say, my father is hardworking. My mother is very kind. My brother is funny. And that's enough.
Honestly, I think many English learners imagine conversations are more complicated than they really are. But the more examples we see, the more natural they start to feel.
Now, let's practice some questions that English learners hear all the time, not only in conversations, but also in speaking exams, job interviews, language classes, and even when meeting new people.
So basically, these are questions everybody should know.
Exactly. Let's start with a simple one. How many people are in your family? A very common question, and a very easy one to answer. For example, there are 5 people in my family, or there are 4 people in my family. Simple, natural, and correct.
Much easier than trying to create a complicated answer.
Exactly. Now, another question. Do you have any brothers or sisters? For example, yes, I do. I have 2 brothers. Or, no, I don't. I'm an only child. Very useful sentence.
I like that one because many learners know brother and sister, but they don't know only child.
Exactly. And it's a very common expression. Now let's try a slightly different question. Who are you closest to in your family?
That's actually a nice question because now we're talking about relationships, not just family members.
Exactly. You could answer, I'm closest to my mother, or I'm closest to my brother, or I'm close to everyone in my family. All perfectly natural answers.
And honestly, those answers already sound like real conversations, not classroom English.
Exactly, because that's the goal. We're not trying to memorize perfect speeches. We're trying to communicate. Now, one final question. Who is the funniest person in your family? Or who is the most hardworking person in your family? Questions like these are very common because they help people learn more about you.
And the nice thing is, once somebody asks about your family, the conversation can continue for a very long time because there are so many things to talk about. Jobs, personalities, relationships, hobbies, and family memories.
Exactly. And that's why family is one of the best topics for practicing English, because everybody already has something to say. The only thing missing is the English to say it. Mohammed, let's be honest. When people talk about their family, they don't only talk about names. They don't only talk about jobs. They usually talk about personalities.
That's true, because every family has different characters. There's always the funny person, the serious person, the talkative person, and sometimes the loud person.
Exactly. And that's why personality words are so useful. For example, kind, funny, friendly, patient, hardworking, generous, quiet, helpful. These are words you'll use again and again.
So instead of saying, my father is a teacher, I can say, my father is a hardworking teacher.
Exactly. Now your English sounds richer and more natural. For example, my mother is very kind and patient. My brother is funny and friendly. My sister is hardworking and helpful. Simple, but effective.
And honestly, these sound like real answers, the kind of answers people actually use.
Exactly. Because in real conversations, people want to know what someone is like, not only what they do. Think about it. If somebody says, my father is an engineer, that's useful. But if they say, my father is an engineer and he's very hardworking, now you can actually imagine that person.
That's a good point, because personality makes people more interesting.
Exactly. And here's a useful question. What is your mother like? Many learners confuse this question because they think it's asking about appearance, but usually it's asking about personality.
So if somebody asks, what is your mother like? I can answer, she's kind and friendly, not she's tall.
Exactly. Although both are possible depending on the conversation, but most of the time, people are asking about character. And honestly, once you learn a few personality adjectives, you can talk about almost anyone, your family, your friends, your teachers, even yourself.
And I think that's what makes these words so valuable. You're not learning them for one conversation, you're learning them for hundreds of conversations.
Okay, Mohammed, we've learned family members, we've learned how to introduce our family, and we've learned how to describe people. Now, let's put everything together. Let's have a real conversation.
Sounds good.
Tell me about your family.
Sure. I have a small family. There are 5 people in my family. My father, my mother, 2 brothers, and me.
Nice. What does your father do?
My father is a teacher. He's very hardworking and patient.
That's great. And what about your mother?
My mother works at a school. She's very kind and helpful.
Who are you closest to in your family?
I'm closest to my older brother. We spend a lot of time together, and he's also very funny.
That's nice. Do you usually spend time with your family?
Yes, I do. We often have dinner together, and sometimes we travel together.
That sounds wonderful. What's your favorite thing about your family?
I think it's the support. Whenever I have a problem, my family is always there for me.
I love that answer because family is not only about people, it's also about support, love, memories, and spending time together.
And honestly, that's why talking about family is such a good English topic, because everybody already knows what they want to say. They only need the English words to express it.
Before we finish, let's quickly look at some common mistakes because these mistakes are very common among beginners. For example, my father have a car. Wrong. My father has a car. Correct. Remember, he has, she has, not have.
I think I've heard that mistake 100 times.
Exactly. Here's another one. I have two brother. Wrong. I have two brothers. Correct. When the number is more than one, we usually add s.
Simple rule, but many learners forget it.
Exactly. And one more. My family are 5 people. Wrong. There are 5 people in my family. Correct. This sounds much more natural, and you'll hear it often in real conversations.
And honestly, the good news is that these mistakes are easy to fix. Once you notice them, your English immediately sounds better.
And before we finish today's episode, I want you to remember something important. Many English learners think they need advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar, or perfect pronunciation before they can have a conversation. But today's episode proves the opposite. Sometimes a simple topic and simple English are more than enough.
That's true. If you think about it, everything we discussed today was simple. Simple words, simple sentences, simple questions. But together, they created a real conversation.
Exactly. And that's how confidence grows. Not by memorizing hundreds of complicated words, but by using simple English again and again until it feels natural, until it feels comfortable, until speaking becomes easier.
And honestly, I think family is one of the best topics for practicing English because everybody has experiences, everybody has stories, and everybody has something to share.
Exactly. So after this episode, I have a small challenge for you. Try introducing your family in English. Talk about your parents. Talk about your brothers and sisters. Talk about their personalities. And don't worry about being perfect. Just focus on communicating, because communication is the real goal.
And remember, the more you speak, the easier speaking becomes. The more you practice, the more confident you become. And every conversation makes the next conversation easier.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend who is learning English. And if you'd like to continue learning with us, you'll find all our resources, podcasts, and social media pages in the description below. And if you're interested in joining one of our English courses, you can contact us directly on WhatsApp. We'll leave all the details in the description and the pinned comment. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep speaking English.
We'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye.